Hey everybody, it's Slitherpuff, and welcome back to episode 6 of Let's Get Rich. In last episode, we talked about how to crush the economy, and I discussed my strategies for deciding what to buy, what not to buy, and generally how to spend your money more efficiently in Minecraft. If you missed that video or other videos in this series, you can check them out here. Now in this video, I've got a confession to make. My YouTube content is actually significantly behind where I am in the game. And the reason for that's pretty simple. I wanted to invest a lot of time in the game actually getting to the point where I can start generating revenue from all these automatic farms. So I needed to invest a significant amount of time in the game up front. And you can imagine that taking time to make these YouTube videos makes it harder to get to the top of the economy because that's one thing extra I have to spend time on. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through some of this content a little bit more quickly, so hopefully we can catch up to speed. And if you'd actually like to see where I'm at currently, you can catch my Twitch stream. Who knows, maybe I'm even live now, and you can catch my schedule for that below. So anyways, without further ado, let's get going. Now this episode's going to be just a little bit different. We're not going to focus so much on the economy today as much as building the infrastructure for our base. So I want to tell you a little story. I'm going to tell you a story about how I took over an ocean monument, killed the guardians inside, drained the whole ocean, and started to make a base for myself. Oh, and also, I made some really freaking awesome water walls at the end if I do say so myself. So here we go. So the first thing we needed to do was to kill the giant boss monster. Or monsters in this case. An ocean temple is guarded by 3 guardians, which give you a really bad debuff that reduces your mining speed. Now, my strategy for tackling this was I was going to get into some alchemy. I needed some potions. I needed some potions of invisibility so the boss couldn't attack me back. I mean, right now, I'm just sitting in iron gear. I don't have any diamond gear. I haven't invested in any enchants. I need to take every advantage possible. So I'm going to beat the crap out of this boss without him being able to hit me back. The next thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need some potions of water breathing because I have no enchants. I can't breathe underwater naturally. And yeah, we're just going to need that to take care of the boss. And then finally, the last potion I needed was some potion of night vision. That way when I'm in the temple, the water's dark, hard to see, we can actually see what we're doing down there. So I went ahead and gathered those materials. Those materials were pretty easy to find. I found some on the auction house. I bought a stack of spider eyes very cheaply. I was also able to buy a stack of golden carrots. And then after that, the only other item I had a hard time finding was the mushrooms for the invisibility potion. So I had to go to the nether and just look for some. Unfortunately, after some looking, I found a whole bunch of them, enough to make a ton of invisibility potions. So step 1 was complete. Gather the necessary materials that we would need to defeat the boss. Now we just needed to find a way into the base. You can't really mine into an ocean temple because you have mining speed debuff, which makes it really hard to actually mine in. I saw a strategy where you could bust into an ocean monument with TNT by surrounding it with redstone and having it ignite. So I tried that. And it didn't work at all. I tried a couple times and it didn't work at all. Which goes to show, when you play on a multiplayer server, sometimes their rule sets for TNT are a little bit different, and that's okay. So we had to find a different way inside. And for this, I actually brought my friend with me. This is Argent Lamb. He came with me and helped with the Guardians. But you can do this same strategy by yourself as well. He just came for fun. So luckily, earlier I had spent a bunch of my money investing in sponges to help me clear this ocean monument. So my thought was, let's just put a whole bunch of sponges down, see if we can get in here without the mining debuff, and break a quick hole. So that's exactly what we did. We were able to get inside, look around, and fight the guardians to take him out. So now I was able to start the real work on the temple, constructing the perimeter, constructing the walls, and I got to work. Now this isn't going to be a guide on how to drain an ocean temple. It's not going to be a guide on how to make a guardian farm. It's just going to be the quick and dirty what I did to drain. So the first thing I did is I made a perimeter around the temple with sand, 3 blocks away from the corner of the temple. And you would be surprised how long this takes. I want to say to make this outside perimeter of sand, it took me almost a full night of playing. It's not something that happens quickly or easily, but it's something that needed to be done. And basically I just had a bunch of sand. I created a giant pillar out of the water in each corner and just started filling in the walls. And this is what it looked like. Now, one thing to note, underneath this sand perimeter, I actually have placed a perimeter of half slabs This is really important to note because when we get into building the water walls, this is a really important component to have. So just know underneath each sand block on the perimeter, there is also a half slab as well. So after getting the outer perimeter done, the next step was to create sections inside the inner perimeter. To do this, I left a 5 wide block gap and then just made a ton more sand walls in between. And as you can imagine, this took a lot of time as well. And this is what it looked like once it was all done. So this here is an aerial view of the project, and you can also see our little starter base is right nearby as well. The next step was to start by draining each of these individual sections. The easiest way to do this is to use sponges. You can fill them with sand if you want to, but I had about 60 sponges or so. And basically what you do is you just put the sponge on the same level that the water is and just start sucking it up. About 500 hours later, the temple was finally drained. Okay, it really wasn't 500 hours, but it felt like it. This project is soul draining. I'm not gonna lie, starting with a guardian farm is really difficult just because of how much time commitment it is and just how much manual labor it is. So just know that this project took a whole lot of time, and draining the water specifically was probably my least favorite part. After the water was drained, it was time to mine out the temple. And honestly, this part was pretty easy. Put up a beacon, mine out the temple, and you're good to go. And this is what the area looked like once I had all the temple mined out. The next thing to do was also pretty easy. We just needed to smooth out the floor so we had a nice even surface to build on, and it also kind of helps make it look pretty nice. So I went ahead and leveled the whole thing out. So this is what that area looked like when completely leveled out. As you can see here, we definitely hit a slime chunk. As you look around the outside edge, you can see that the sand is not even on the outer wall. And the reason for that is the seafloor is not even. So you can see here, I told you earlier we had the half slabs. The half slabs are following the ocean floor around, and then the sand's on top of it. And you can see here I've got one little section of wall done. We're going to work on building those water walls next. So the water walls were my absolute favorite part of the project. It took me a little while to figure out how to do this. And basically you have to dig a small trench underneath and put a half slab down under the trench as well. This is important because when falling sand hits a half slab, it acts like a torch and it's going to destroy everything that lands on it. And this allows me to create this cascading effect where the water falls into this lower open area and the rest of the sand just falls down, creating these really awesome looking water walls. It took me a while to figure out how to do this, and I didn't really find any spectacular videos on YouTube showing how to make these water walls. So if you guys are interested specifically in a video on how to exactly make these water walls, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to make that. That's something I'd like to do in the future. So as the last of the blocks were broken, this is what the view looked like from the inside. And I have to say, I was so happy with this. I was really looking forward to doing this, and I'd wanted to do this for a very long time. And it turned out even better than I imagined. And you can just swim right into the water and swim right back in. I loved how this turned out. And here you can see what the build looks like from the water and get a good perspective on this as well. I recommend this to anyone. This was my absolute favorite part, and I think these water walls look absolutely stunning. I also wanted you to get a really good view of this area during the day, because when you're inside, you can actually see all of the kelp, all of the plant life. You can even see fish swimming in the water, from time to time. Not only that, in this area, there's a couple different sunken ships and wrecks in the area. So those features really add a lot of ambience. I've still got a couple more things to show you before we're done, but I want to thank you for watching so far. And if you liked this type of content and you're interested in seeing the process that I use to take over a server and make a ton of money, please consider dropping a like below, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment and tell me what you'd like to see or what you'd like to see done differently. I really appreciate it. After the water walls were done, the next thing I needed to do was to actually build the Guardian farm. Building the Guardian farm was one of the easier parts of this whole project, and it didn't take more than an hour or two to get the initial design done. It took a little bit more time to refine the killing chamber and get it just the way that I wanted. The basic design that I used is just a giant cube. It has a funneling system at the bottom which will funnel guardians down into a kill or collection chamber. And then at the top it has water that flows down to help push them into the collection area. Getting the kill chamber for the exact specifications that I wanted was a little bit difficult. I wanted the chamber to be able to have two modes, automatic kill and experience farm. And my other requirement was when it was on automatic farm, I didn't want to get cooked cod. I didn't want the guardians to die from a lava blade. I wanted them to die and drop raw cod. The reason I wanted this is because fishermen villagers will trade for raw cod. So in the long run, I can eventually start getting emeralds from this farm as well, which should be very beneficial. The way that I accomplished this was when I had it on the automatic farm mode, I had the guardians just drop to their death, and they would die from fall damage and collect their loot, giving me raw cod. I created a water blade towards the top of the farm that I could trigger with a button that would reduce the distance that the guardians would fall. So this made the guardians fall down with 1 heart, which made for an excellent experience farm. Now, if you were really observant, you may notice a couple other structures in those past couple clips that we haven't talked about. That's because I didn't get very good footage of this when I did it the first time, so I just went back to my current base to get a couple of those things. So if you saw a couple of those, good eye, those are hints of things to come. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. Building this guardian farm was a ton of work to do. In all of the projects that you can do in Minecraft, building a guardian farm is by far one of the most labor intensive, and building it when you don't have access to really good tools and really good armor makes it just a little bit slower. However, now that that's done, I've got a fully automatic farm for blocks, food, in the long run, emeralds. Not only that, sea lanterns. So I'm going to start making these materials, start putting some of them for sale on the auction house, and start making money. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next episode.